35 seconds. That's how long the race lasted before everything changed. 35 seconds into what was supposed to be the most important match race in decades, a sound cut through Belmont Park. Sharp, sudden, unmistakable. People who were there would later describe it the same way, like a pistol shot. And yet, the horse didn't stop. She kept running, not because she wasn't hurt, but because whatever drove her forward didn't understand how to quit. This is the story of Ruffian, the undefeated filly, the race meant to crown her immortal, and the moment horse racing learned a lesson it still hasn't fully recovered from. Because this wasn't just a tragic accident, it was the result of pressure, spectacle, biology, and a will so powerful it outran the body carrying it. To understand why Ruffian mattered, you have to understand this first. She didn't race like other horses. She didn't stalk. She didn't wait. She didn't adjust. She took races immediately. Foaled on April 17, 1972, Ruffian was born at Claiborne Farm in Kentucky, bred by Stuart and Barbara Janney. From the beginning, people noticed she didn't look like a filly at all. She was huge, 16.2 hands, dark bay, nearly black, muscle packed onto her frame like a colt. Veterans of the sport, people who had seen thousands of horses, would stop and stare when she walked by. And then she raced the same way she looked. From her very first start, Ruffian did something almost unheard of. She led at every point of call in every race she ever ran. 10 starts, 10 wins, wire to wire, no exceptions. She didn't just beat fields, she erased them, winning an average margin of more than 8 lengths. By age 3, she had swept the Acorn Stakes, the Mother Goose Stakes, and the Coaching Club American Oaks, the so-called Triple Tiara for fillies. Champion at 2, champion at 3, and suddenly the conversation changed. People stopped asking if she was the best filly of her generation. They started asking something more dangerous. Could she beat the boys? And when a sport starts asking that question, it usually means it's about to push too hard. By the mid-1970s, American horse racing was restless. Secretariat's Triple Crown in 1973 was electric, but lightning doesn't strike on command. Attendance was slipping. Television interest was unpredictable. The industry wanted another moment, another event so simple and dramatic that casual viewers couldn't ignore it. And that's when the idea came back from the past. A match race. 2 horses, no traffic, no excuses. Winner takes everything. Ruffian would face Foolish Pleasure, the 1975 Kentucky Derby winner. A filly versus a colt, speed versus stamina, unbeaten dominance versus classic legitimacy. It was marketed like a prize fight. The press called it the Great Match Race. Some even leaned into the cultural moment and called it a battle of the sexes. 50,000 people would attend. An estimated 20 million would watch on CBS. But inside Ruffian's barn, there was resistance. Her trainer, Frank Whiteley Jr., was old school, protective, suspicious of hype. He didn't want to run the race in July. He preferred patience, the Travers Stakes in August. But pressure doesn't ask trainers what they want. The sport wanted the moment. The public wanted the showdown. And once that momentum builds, it's almost impossible to stop. Even Ruffian's jockey, Jacinto Vasquez, who had ridden both horses, made his choice. He chose Ruffian. And that choice tells you everything about how invincible she felt. July 6, 1975, Belmont Park. 2 horses in the gate. The air felt heavy, and people would later swear they sensed it. The gates opened. Ruffian broke from the inside post and clipped the starting gate hard. It wasn't obvious at first. She straightened. She surged forward. She took the lead, exactly as expected. Foolish pleasure stayed right beside her, no easing, no settling. The quarter-mile flashed by in 22 1/5 seconds, blistering speed for a mile and a quarter. Then, just past 3 furlongs in, about 35 seconds after the start, crack. Riders, officials, and spectators would all remember the sound. Ruffian's right front sesamoid bones shattered instantly. Here is the moment that still doesn't feel real. Despite the catastrophic injury, Ruffian didn't immediately collapse. She didn't even immediately slow. Her body hadn't processed the damage, or her instinct refused to accept it. She kept running, grinding shattered bone into the track. Jacinto Vasquez stood up in the irons, pulling with everything he had, trying to stop her. For several strides, she ignored him. Only then did she falter near the half-mile pole. Vasquez jumped off and pressed his shoulder against her, trying to keep weight off the ruined leg. Around them, the crowd fell silent. Foolish Pleasure crossed the finish line alone. A winner no one applauded. The undefeated filly stood broken in front of millions. But the race wasn't the end of the tragedy. It was the beginning of the hardest decision of all. An air compression splint was applied on the track. Ruffian was loaded into an ambulance and rushed to the barn area. That night, surgeons worked to save her. Bone fragments were removed, ligaments repaired, a heavy cast and a specially designed shoe were applied. Technically, the surgery succeeded. But horses don't heal like humans. The most dangerous part was still ahead. When Ruffian woke from anesthesia, panic took over. She thrashed violently, an instinctive attempt to stand and flee. The cast shattered, and in the chaos she destroyed her other leg, her left elbow, making it impossible for her to ever stand again. There was no path forward. At approximately 2:20 a.m. on July 7, 1975, the order was given. Ruffian was euthanized. Less than 9 hours after the race began, the greatest filly many had ever seen was gone. Was it the gait? Was it the relentless pace of a match race? Was it pigeons lifting from the track? Was it a freak accident no one could have predicted? No explanation has ever satisfied everyone. What did become clear is that the public watched a champion die live. Fans left the sport and never came back. Match races all but disappeared, and racing was forced to confront something it had avoided. There are limits. Even greatness has a breaking point. The horse that ran with a broken heart isn't poetry, it's a description. Ruffian didn't stop when her body failed because stopping wasn't part of who she was. She ran because that's what she had always done. And in doing so, she left behind a question the sport still wrestles with. How far should we push greatness before it becomes a warning? Ruffian didn't lose her final race. She exposed the cost of asking for more. And that's why half a century later, her story still hurts.